Have you ever wondered why some kind-hearted people seem to suffer endlessly, while others who act selfishly appear to live comfortable and successful lives? Questions like these often give birth to a deep fear of karma. Many people worry that a mistake from the past will return as suffering in the future. When illness, loss, financial struggles, or heartbreak appear, they immediately ask themselves, "Am I paying for bad karma?" Because of this fear, countless people live with anxiety, constantly searching for signs, predictions, or rituals that promise protection from future suffering. Yet the Buddha taught that fear is not the path to understanding karma. In fact, fear often blinds us to the truth. Before we can learn how to transform our karma, we must first understand what karma really is. Because the greatest danger is not karma itself, but misunderstanding it. For many centuries, karma has been misunderstood. Some people see it as a supernatural punishment waiting to strike. Others believe every hardship is proof that they are being judged for something they did long ago. But the Buddha taught something very different. Karma is not a cosmic punishment. It is the natural result of causes and conditions. Just as a seed eventually produces a certain fruit, our thoughts, words, and actions shape the direction of our lives. Every choice leaves an imprint on the mind. Habits become character. Character influences decisions. Decisions create consequences. This is why karma is not about fear. It is about responsibility. If you plant anger every day, anger becomes stronger. If you practice kindness every day, kindness becomes stronger. The law of karma is not concerned with revenge. It simply reflects what we continuously cultivate within ourselves. Once you understand this, karma stops being something to fear. Instead, it becomes something you can learn from, work with, and gradually transform. Yet if karma is not punishment, why do so many people become trapped in superstition? Because fear always looks for shortcuts. When life becomes difficult, many people rush to fortune tellers, lucky objects, rituals, or predictions, hoping someone can erase their suffering overnight. They begin to believe that a special ceremony can cancel years of harmful habits, or that a simple ritual can instantly change their destiny. The Buddha warned against this way of thinking. He taught that liberation does not come from fear, blind belief, or magical solutions. It comes from understanding causes and changing the conditions that create suffering. Imagine a farmer who plants thorn bushes and then prays for roses. No matter how sincere the prayer may be, the harvest will still reflect the seeds that were planted. In the same way, our future is shaped less by rituals and more by the choices we make every day. Before we continue, I invite you to pause for a moment. Have you ever feared karma or worried about the consequences of your past actions? If so, write the number 1 in the comments below. Your small act of honesty may encourage someone else on the same journey. Now that we understand karma is not punishment and cannot be erased through superstition, a deeper question appears. If suffering is not sent by some outside force, where does it actually come from? Most people spend their lives looking outward for answers. They blame bad luck, difficult people, unfair circumstances, or fate itself. Yet the Buddha encouraged us to look inward. He taught that while pain is a natural part of life, much of our suffering is created by how we react to pain. Two people can face the same loss. One becomes trapped in bitterness for years while the other gradually finds peace. The difference is not the event itself, but the state of the mind responding to it. To understand karma more deeply, we must begin examining our own lives honestly. When most people look honestly at their lives, they begin to notice a surprising pattern. The greatest suffering often does not come from what happened, but from what they continue carrying long after it happened. A harsh comment spoken years ago is still replayed in the mind. A past mistake continues to produce guilt. A broken relationship becomes a wound that never seems to heal. The event itself may be over, yet the mind keeps feeding it attention. The Buddha taught that suffering grows when we cling to experiences, identities, and expectations. We hold tightly to what should have happened, what could have happened, or what we fear might happen next. This is where many forms of karma continue to operate. Not because the past is chasing us, but because we are still holding on to the past. But if holding on creates suffering, what exactly are we holding on to? According to the Buddha, we cling to 3 things more than anything else: our desires, our expectations, and our sense of control. We want life to unfold according to our plans. We want people to behave as we wish. We want success to arrive quickly and pain to stay away. When reality refuses to obey these demands, frustration appears. Then anger, disappointment, anxiety, and fear begin to grow. This is why suffering is often less about what happens to us and more about our attachment to how things should happen. The tighter we grip life, the more painful every change becomes. And since change is unavoidable, attachment quietly becomes a source of endless suffering. This truth can be difficult to accept because the mind constantly tells us that happiness will come when everything finally goes our way. We believe that if we earn more money, find the perfect relationship, gain more respect, or eliminate every problem, then peace will arrive. Yet the Buddha observed something remarkable. Even when people obtain what they desire, satisfaction rarely lasts. Soon a new desire appears, a new fear emerges, or a new problem demands attention. It is like drinking salty water to quench thirst. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. This does not mean desires are evil. It means lasting peace cannot be built upon things that are always changing. When happiness depends entirely on external conditions, the mind remains vulnerable. Understanding this is the first step toward true freedom from suffering. Once we begin to see how attachment creates suffering, another important realization appears. Life itself is constantly changing. People change, relationships change, health changes, finances change. Even our own thoughts and emotions change from moment to moment. The Buddha called this impermanence one of the most important truths of existence. Yet much of our suffering comes from pretending that changing things should remain the same forever. We want youth to stay young, success to stay permanent, loved ones to stay beside us, and pleasant experiences to never end. But life moves like a river. No moment can be held forever. The wise person does not suffer because change exists. The wise person learns to flow with change instead of fighting against it. And when we stop resisting impermanence, the heart begins to feel lighter, calmer, and more at peace. But understanding impermanence is not enough. We must also ask ourselves a deeper question. If everything changes, why do we keep acting as if we have unlimited time? Many people postpone inner growth. They tell themselves they will become kinder later, forgive later, meditate later, or live more consciously later. Yet life continues moving forward whether we are ready or not. The Buddha often reminded his followers to remember the uncertainty of life, not to create fear, but to awaken wisdom. Every day that passes is a day that can never be recovered. When we truly understand this, our priorities begin to change. Small arguments seem less important. Grudges lose their value. The desire to live with greater awareness becomes stronger, and this realization marks the beginning of transforming karma one conscious choice at a time. At this point, many people ask, if my past actions have created certain results, am I trapped by my karma forever? The Buddha's answer was clear. Absolutely not. Karma is not a prison sentence. Karma is a process. While past actions may influence the present, your actions in this very moment are shaping the future. Every thought you choose, every word you speak, and every action you take becomes a seed being planted today. A person who spent years cultivating anger can begin cultivating compassion. A person who lived in fear can begin practicing courage. A person trapped in resentment can begin learning forgiveness. This is the hopeful side of karma that many people overlook. Your past may explain where you are, but it does not have to decide where you go next. The future begins with the choices you make today. So how do we begin transforming karma in a practical way? The Buddha pointed not to rituals but to awareness. Before we can change our actions, we must first see clearly what is happening inside us. Every harmful action begins as a thought. Every unkind word begins as an emotion. Every destructive habit begins as a repeated mental pattern. Most people try to change their lives while remaining unconscious of these inner processes. As a result, they repeat the same behaviors and create the same results. Transformation begins the moment you become aware of your own mind. When anger arises, notice it. When jealousy appears, recognize it. When fear starts guiding your decisions, pause and observe it. Awareness is the doorway through which all positive karma enters. Without awareness, habits control you. With awareness, choice becomes possible. Awareness alone, however, is not enough. Once you see an unhealthy pattern, you must begin replacing it with a wiser one. The Buddha taught that the mind becomes what it repeatedly practices. If you constantly feed anger, anger grows stronger. If you repeatedly cultivate patience, patience becomes natural. The same law applies to kindness, gratitude, generosity, and compassion. Imagine a garden filled with weeds. Simply noticing the weeds is important, but if you never plant new seeds, the garden will remain empty. In the same way, transforming karma is not only about removing harmful habits, it is also about consciously planting beneficial ones. Every small act of kindness, every moment of patience, and every compassionate response becomes a seed that gradually reshapes both your mind and your future. Another powerful way to transform karma is through the people we interact with every day. Many believe karma is created only through major life decisions, but the Buddha taught that ordinary moments matter just as much. A harsh word can create suffering. A kind word can create healing. A moment of patience can prevent conflict that might have lasted for years. Think about how often your daily mood affects others. When anger spreads, it creates more anger. When compassion spreads, it creates more compassion. In this way, karma moves through relationships, families, workplaces, and entire communities. This is why mindful speech is so important. Before speaking, ask yourself, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Every conversation becomes an opportunity to plant better seeds. And over time, these small seeds can transform not only your own life, but the lives of those around you as well. But perhaps the most overlooked source of karma is not what we do to others. It is what we repeatedly do to ourselves. Every day, many people feed their minds with self-criticism, resentment, comparison, and worry. They speak to themselves more harshly than they would ever speak to a stranger. Over time, these inner habits become mental suffering. The Buddha taught that the mind follows the direction in which it is trained. If you constantly nourish fear, fear becomes stronger. If you continually nourish peace, peace begins to grow. This is why transforming karma starts within. Pay attention to the thoughts you repeat most often. They are quietly shaping your future experience. A peaceful life is not created in a single moment. It is built through thousands of small mental choices made every day. At this stage, a person may begin to understand something deeply liberating. Karma is not merely about the future. It is also about the quality of the present moment. Many people spend years worrying about what consequences may come tomorrow, while completely ignoring how they are living today. Yet every moment of anger disturbs today's peace. Every moment of gratitude enriches today's life. Every act of compassion improves the world right now. The Buddha encouraged people to stop living entirely in the shadows of the past or the fears of the future. Instead, he taught them to return to the present moment, because this is the only place where karma can actually be transformed. You cannot change yesterday's actions. You cannot control every event that may happen tomorrow. But you can choose your response right now. And sometimes, one conscious choice made today becomes the beginning of an entirely different future. The Buddha's path was never about becoming perfect overnight. It was about taking one small step in the right direction, then another and another. Many people become discouraged because they still feel anger, fear, or doubt. But transformation does not happen when negative emotions disappear completely. It happens when they begin to control you less and less. A single moment of patience is already progress. A single act of forgiveness is already progress. A single decision not to react with anger is already transforming karma. Do not underestimate small changes. Great trees grow from tiny seeds, and a peaceful mind is built the same way. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to support the channel by pressing the like button. Your support helps these Buddhist teachings reach more people who may be searching for wisdom, healing, and inner peace. As understanding deepens, another important truth begins to emerge. The greatest battle is not against other people, difficult circumstances, or bad luck. The greatest battle is against ignorance within our own minds. The Buddha taught that suffering continues because we fail to see reality clearly. We chase what cannot last, resist what cannot be avoided, and cling to things that are constantly changing. Because of this, we create unnecessary pain for ourselves again and again. Wisdom begins when we stop blaming the world for everything we experience and start examining our own thoughts, reactions, and attachments. This is not about self-blame, it is about self-understanding. The more clearly you understand yourself, the more power you gain to transform your karma. And the more wisdom grows, the less suffering is able to control your life. This is why the Buddha emphasized right understanding as the foundation of the spiritual path. Without understanding, we continue repeating the same patterns and wondering why our lives never truly change. A person may change jobs, relationships, cities, or possessions, yet still carry the same fears, attachments, and habits wherever they go. The outer circumstances change, but the inner causes remain the same. Real transformation begins when we stop searching for solutions only outside ourselves and start looking within. We begin noticing the beliefs, desires, and reactions that quietly shape our experience every day. When the root changes, the fruit changes. When the mind changes, karma changes. And when karma changes, a different future gradually unfolds. This is the power of wisdom. It allows us to stop repeating the past and start creating something new. Yet wisdom alone is not the destination. Wisdom must be lived. Many people can explain karma, quote Buddhist teachings, and discuss spiritual ideas for hours. But when criticism arrives, they become angry. When loss appears, they become bitter. When fear arises, they become overwhelmed. The Buddha taught that true understanding reveals itself through daily conduct. It is easy to speak about compassion. It is harder to practice compassion when someone hurts you. It is easy to talk about patience. It is harder to remain patient when life does not go according to your plans. This is why every challenge can become a spiritual teacher. Difficult people test your kindness. Uncertainty tests your trust. Loss tests your attachment. Failure tests your resilience. When viewed in this way, life itself becomes a training ground. Every situation offers an opportunity to either strengthen old karma or create new karma rooted in wisdom and compassion. As we continue on this path, it becomes clear that transforming karma is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more conscious of who you already are. Every day presents countless opportunities to choose differently. You can choose patience instead of anger, understanding instead of judgment, generosity instead of selfishness, awareness instead of automatic reaction. These choices may seem small, but karma is built from small moments repeated over time. A river is not formed by one drop of water. It is formed by countless drops flowing in the same direction. The same is true of your life. The person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the choices you make today. Each conscious decision plants a seed. Each seed contributes to the future you will eventually experience. This is why every moment matters. Every moment is an opportunity to create a better path forward. But there is one final misunderstanding that prevents many people from transforming their karma. They believe they must wait for the perfect moment to begin. They tell themselves, when life becomes easier, I will practice mindfulness. When my problems disappear, I will focus on inner peace. When I have more time, I will work on myself. The Buddha taught the opposite. The best time to begin is now, exactly where you are. Not after life becomes perfect, but in the middle of life's imperfections. Your current challenges are not obstacles to the path. They are the path. The difficult conversation, the stressful situation, the painful memory, and even the fear you carry today can become opportunities for growth when approached with awareness. The journey of transforming karma does not start tomorrow. It starts with the very next choice you make. If the journey begins now, what is the very first step? The Buddha offered a simple answer: pay attention. Before changing your life, observe your life. Before trying to fix every problem, learn to see clearly. Notice the thoughts that repeatedly visit your mind. Notice the emotions that guide your decisions. Notice the habits that either create peace or create suffering. Most people live on autopilot, repeating the same reactions day after day. They become angry without noticing anger. They worry without noticing worry. They cling without noticing attachment. Awareness breaks this cycle. The moment you see a habit clearly, you are no longer completely controlled by it. A space appears between you and the pattern. In that space, freedom becomes possible, and every transformation of karma begins with this simple but powerful act of seeing clearly. As awareness grows, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of karma and start seeing yourself as a participant in it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What can this teach me?" This small shift changes everything. Difficult experiences no longer appear as punishments. They become opportunities to develop patience, wisdom, compassion, and inner strength. The Buddha taught that growth often comes through challenges, not comfort. Every obstacle can either deepen suffering or deepen understanding. The choice depends on how consciously you respond. When awareness guides your actions, even life's hardest moments can become part of your awakening rather than part of your suffering. At this point, you may be wondering whether real change is truly possible. Perhaps you have carried the same fears, regrets, or painful habits for many years. Perhaps part of you believes it is too late, but the Buddha never taught that anyone is trapped forever. As long as you are alive, you can plant new seeds. As long as awareness is present, a different future can begin. No matter what happened yesterday, today's actions still matter. One kind word can begin healing a relationship. One act of forgiveness can release years of bitterness. One moment of mindfulness can interrupt a cycle that has lasted for decades. Transformation rarely happens all at once. It happens through small choices, repeated consistently over time. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you. Do you believe people can change their karma through conscious actions and daily awareness? If your answer is yes, write the number 1 inch, the comments below, and join this journey of growth and inner transformation. One of the clearest signs that karma is changing is not that your life suddenly becomes perfect. It is that your responses begin to change. The situation may be the same, but you react with more patience. The challenge may still exist, but you face it with less fear. The criticism may still come, but it no longer controls your emotions as deeply as before. This is how inner transformation often appears, quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. The Buddha compared spiritual growth to the slow growth of a tree. Day by day, the changes seem small, yet over time, those small changes become impossible to ignore. Do not measure your progress by how perfect you are. Measure it by how much awareness, compassion, and wisdom you bring into each day. That is the true sign that new karma is being created. As this transformation continues, you begin to understand that peace is not something you find at the end of the journey. Peace is something you cultivate along the way. Many people spend their lives chasing a future moment when everything will finally be perfect. Yet the Buddha taught that lasting peace does not come from controlling every circumstance. It comes from developing the wisdom to meet each circumstance with clarity and balance. When you stop fighting reality, life feels lighter. When you stop clinging to every outcome, anxiety begins to loosen its grip. When you stop feeding old fears, the mind naturally becomes calmer. This does not mean problems disappear. It means you are no longer controlled by them. And that may be one of the greatest transformations karma can bring. Not a different world, but a different way of living within it. And perhaps this is where the deepest understanding of karma begins. Many people think karma is mainly about what happens to them, but the Buddha taught that karma is even more about what happens within them. Two people can experience the same hardship, yet one becomes bitter, while the other becomes wiser. One closes their heart, while the other develops compassion. The difference is not the event itself. The difference is the response. Every moment of awareness gives you the power to choose a new response. Every moment of kindness weakens the habit of anger. Every moment of patience weakens the habit of frustration. Every moment of understanding weakens the habit of judgment. Little by little, these choices reshape the mind, and when the mind changes, life begins to change as well. This is how karma is transformed, not through miracles, but through conscious living, one moment at a time. The beautiful thing about the Buddha's teaching is that it gives hope to everyone. No matter how many mistakes you have made, no matter how much suffering you have experienced, the possibility of change is always available. The past may influence you, but it does not own you. Every new day offers another opportunity to plant better seeds. Every mindful action creates a new direction. Every compassionate choice strengthens a different future. This is why the Buddha encouraged people to focus less on regret and more on right action. Regret alone cannot transform karma. Wisdom put into practice can. The moment you choose awareness over ignorance, kindness over anger, and understanding over fear, you are already walking a new path. And each step on that path brings you closer to freedom from unnecessary suffering. As we approach the end of this reflection, remember one simple truth. Karma is not something to fear, it is something to understand. Fear keeps the mind trapped in confusion. Understanding opens the door to freedom. The more clearly you see the connection between your thoughts, actions, and experiences, the more power you gain to shape your future wisely. You do not need to change your entire life in a single day. You only need to take responsibility for this moment. One mindful breath, one kind action, one conscious choice. Small actions may seem insignificant, but over time, they become the foundation of a completely different life. And every positive seed you plant today becomes part of the peace you experience tomorrow. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that karma is not a force designed to punish you. It is a mirror that reflects the seeds you plant through your thoughts, words, and actions every day. The good news is that no matter what happened in the past, a new future can begin with the choices you make right now. The Buddha's teachings remind us that suffering is not permanent, awareness can be developed, and wisdom can transform even the most difficult circumstances. Every moment of mindfulness, every act of kindness, and every decision made with compassion becomes a step toward a more peaceful life. But this is only the first step of the journey. In our next teaching on Virtue Buddha's teachings, we will explore deeper Buddhist wisdom about attachment, suffering, hidden causes of negative karma, and practical ways to cultivate lasting inner peace in daily life. If you found value in this message, please subscribe to Virtue Buddha's teachings, turn on notifications, and join our community dedicated to mindfulness, wisdom, and spiritual growth. We would be honored to walk this path with you. Until next time, may your heart be peaceful, your mind be clear, and your actions plant seeds of happiness for the future.